Moving on now and staying with the India-China clash as well. It is the first sign of a pullback by Chinese troops along the line of actual control in Galwan Valley, which saw a bloody border clash. Sources have now revealed to India today that the PLA troops have shifted over a kilometer from the site of 15 June clashes. Sources have also said that relocation has taken place from both the sides. A buffer zone has been created to avoid escalation and maintain equidistance by both the sides. The Chinese force retreat is coming in days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Ladakh to meet the forces and take stock of the situation and India's preparedness. And it's not just Galwan. Chinese troops have also moved back at Pangong So, Hot Springs area as well in Gogra. There's been a limited Chinese pullback from Pangong So Finger 4 area as some Chinese positions have been dismantled at the moment. My colleagues Shiv and Gaurav are both joining us live for the latest. Shiv, do you have a sense of the extent of the relocation of troops in the tents and vehicles on both the sides, whether it is at Pangong So and at Galwan as well, or are we still waiting for the satellite imagery to reveal that?
No, we can confirm, Chaiti, that disengagement process has begun. This is actually the first visible relocation of troops on both sides, both in the Galwan area and the Pangong area. We're hearing about some limited disengagement also in the Hot Springs area, but that's not been confirmed just yet, at least by our sources. Our sources are very categorical that there is visible disengagement that has taken place in the Galwan Valley, where a buffer zone has been created, as well as from the ridgeline at Finger 4, which, as you know, has been the most problematic build-up from the Chinese side. So these are good signs as far as the pullback is concerned. But the army is not celebrating them or seeing them as any kind of a milestone, because the first milestone that the army will actually mark is when the Chinese fully pull back to a pre-May the 2nd status quo ante position, Chaiti, and that's going to take a while. These are definitely welcome moves. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has also just reacted and acknowledged that the disengagement process is reflecting on the ground. And remember, it's now been exactly 2 months since this standoff really began, that this disengagement is taking place. So 60 days after it started, the first visible pullback of troops from the Chinese side is taking place. And it happens just about a few hours after Prime Minister Modi was in Leh. As we've been reporting, there are many back-channel talks that are also happening between both sides. Diplomats on both sides have also been talking. The army has been talking at the Lieutenant General level. And what you're seeing now is a reflection of all of that combined, on the ground.
Right. Stay with us right there, Shiv. Gaurav Sawant is also joining us live from Delhi. Gaurav, Shiv has, ever since he broke the story, he's been saying one must view this with absolutely cautious optimism, because the Chinese at the moment cannot be trusted and the trust deficit still exists. In terms of the trust deficit, in terms of really celebrating, is it really too soon to even celebrate a development like this, Gaurav?
Look, Shiv's absolutely right. There is tremendous skepticism, not even cautious optimism. There is tremendous skepticism about Chinese moves. Trust deficit, trust is down to zero after the Chinese treachery on the 15th of June at Galwan, where unarmed Indian soldiers were targeted by Chinese soldiers in an act of premeditated murder at the line of actual control. I mean, it's the gallantry of the Indian soldiers that they turned an adversity into an opportunity, pushed the Chinese back and killed and maimed more than the number of Indian soldiers who were killed or injured at that point of time. But that just shows on that the valor of our soldiers against all odds woke up the Chinese. In fact, in a way, that was a wake-up call for India to see the true face of Chinese treachery. So there is no, to the best of what my sources are saying, there is no optimism. There is a realization that the Chinese will be there for a long time. There is tremendous criticism globally for the Chinese actions, and that is why, there is symbolic movement back. Also, the fact that in Galwan Nala, because it's now winter snow is melting, the Nala has more water. So for the Chinese to sustain themselves becomes extremely difficult. So that's why they're pulling their tents back and their men and armored vehicles back. But remember the two divisions, the motorized and the mechanized divisions, 4 mech and 6 mech that the Chinese brought in, they are still right there. So unless those regiments and those divisions of the Chinese army move back to their peacetime locations, you cannot afford to trust the Chinese. And as Shiv very rightly pointed out, they're still there between finger 4 and finger 8. Until they go beyond finger 8, restore the pre-made status quo ante, you cannot trust the Chinese. You'll have to be on guard, be vigilant, and ensure that you don't cut any slack to the Chinese.
All right, leave it at that. Gaurav Sawant, Shiv, thanks so much for joining us with those updates right there. The pullback by the Chinese troops has been a result of the government's two-pronged strategy to deal with China. Highly placed sources in the Modi government indicate that India has been following a twin-track approach in dealing with China. The government has indicated a firm resolve when it comes to guarding national security. Prime Minister Modi's visit today and his address to the troops was a firm indication of the determination to safeguard India's territorial integrity. On the other hand, the government has been pursuing a policy of serious bilateral engagement both diplomatically and militarily. The disengagement of frontline troops being seen in different parts of line of actual control is a result of the dual-track approach being deployed by the government. So that's the big story that we're tracking at the moment. The pullback by Chinese troops, a result of the two-pronged strategy to deal with China. Highly placed sources have indicated that India has been following this twin-track approach in dealing with China. And the government also has indicated a firm resolve when it comes to guarding national security as well. And Prime Minister's visit today, his address to the troops as well, was a morale booster, of course, for the Indian Army, and also was a firm indication of the determination to safeguard our territorial integrity as well. There's been a pursuance of a policy of serious bilateral engagement, both at the diplomatic level, at the military level as well. And the disengagement of the frontline troops is now being seen in different parts of line of actual control, as we've been reporting.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.